Disturbed, everything that rocks all day. The Big Dog 97.9. Your featured artist, Rocktober day number 23. Four. Sorry, 4. 24.
And, of course, you got double shots of Disturbed all day today. 8, 9, 11, 1, 3, and 5. You can help pick the second song of each of those double shots. Big Dog mobile app and at BigDog979.com. And listen for the Rocktober winning words at each of those times.
Yes, and the winning word for this hour, the Rocktober winning word, to get your Rocktober t-shirt, entry, and all that kind of good stuff, is sickness.
Okay.
Sickness, as in down with the sickness. S-I-C-K-N-E-S-S. Sickness. N-E-S-S.
You want to text that in to 417-659-9797. Text the word sickness to get qualified to win your Rocktober t-shirt or maybe extra entries into that Las Vegas trip drawing.
Remember when hashtag adulting was trending?
Yes.
You know, it's where 20-somethings struggled to come with terms with the fact that they needed to do their taxes and, you know, wash their underwear.
Oh, yeah. Definitely remember.
Well, this is a little more fun.
Okay.
People online talking about things that basically every single person on Earth experiences when they become an adult.
Oh.
But nobody talks about it.
Like harsh realizations that you're an adult? Yeah.
Here are some of the fun ones, I thought.
Okay.
1, saying, I've got to get up early for work, is like the adult version of your mom saying no.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it happens every day, by the way.
It feels like.
You always have to get up and go to work.
I have to get up and go to work.
I can't. I got to get up and go to work. Yeah,
Another one. You start having to have the we have food at home talk with yourself.
Oh, dude, I do this every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're driving through.
And you're like, ooh, that's
good. Everything looks good. I'm kind of hungry. I haven't eaten a lot today. No. Wait. I've got stuff at home.
Food at home.
I already bought groceries. Why? I can't stop or can I? I'm an adult. Nobody can stop me. All right, I'm going to have a milkshake.
You have a favorite go-to stovetop burner.
I think all adults do, don't they? Isn't
That's
that an
what
adult
it is.
thing?
That is. That's what, and nobody talks about it, but.
We have one that if it burns out, I don't know, we might as well just throw the stove away.
Yeah, I have a favorite too.
Yeah, everybody does, I guess.
You whisper, what the F, about 96 times a day.
I do that a lot. I don't know if it's 96, but it's frequent.
You spend too much time debating with yourself on keeping a cardboard box. Like, you know, because it's really a good box.
I watched this exact exchange happen yesterday in our building, and I laughed so hard at the two dudes that were having this conversation. One engineer and another guy who's like, oh, you're going to throw that box away? Yeah, you want it? I don't know. Maybe it's a pretty good box. That was the exact conversation, which, by the way, the engineer followed up with, it is a good box.
Yeah.
I'd understand if you want it. You can have it. And there was a whole debate.
I don't understand any of that. It's a box.
Yeah, but, you know, sometimes you need a box, you don't have one.
Okay.
You can keep that one for 6 years in your garage, then you have it.
Okay. They need help. Chores are not done entirely in one session. So it's like washing 30 minutes, drying 60 minutes, putting away 7 to 10 business days.
So, my family sucks at that really bad.
It's just an adulting thing.
They're clean, I guess.
They're on top of the washer.
Yeah, they're in a basket.
When you're 20, 15 people could come over to your house at any moment.
That's true, yeah.
When you're like 30 and above, it literally takes 2 months of planning to see a friend.
That's really true. It sucks, but it's really true.
Mm-hmm.
Or how about this? If somebody just showed up at my house, I'd be freaked out.
I would too.
It would never. And that used to happen all the time. They would just come on into my house.
What are you doing here?
I would just show up at friends' houses. I didn't announce that I was coming. I just show up.
Yeah.
Let's go see if so-and-so's home.
If I had anybody I know show up at my
Show
house,
up?
just show up on my front porch,
Uh-huh.
I really would. I would look at them like,
You might answer the door with a gun.
I'm like, are you okay?
Right.
What happened?
Yeah. Is everything fine?
What went wrong?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Why didn't you text? You know we have phones, right?
Go away and text me and come back.
I wouldn't receive it well these days, honestly.
You're freaking me out.
Yeah, I know I wouldn't.
And you're constantly toggling between wondering if it's too late to drink coffee or too early to drink alcohol.
I say it's never for either one. When you decide it's time, it's time.
If you're in the debate mode, I say at that point you combine
Both.
them.
Yep. Both. That's the easiest solution. I agree. Go home and just chill. And that was very tough to do when you live with a couple of other people. Because chances are they may have some friends over.
Yeah.
And it's like you get home, it's like, ugh, I guess we're going to have a party tonight, whether I like it or not.
Bailey's in this coffee.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Hey, we got a couple billboards up.
We do?
Yep.
Cool.
Our faces are plastered on billboards for everybody as they're driving
I
through,
didn't know-
staring at
Didn't know we were back on the billboards.
Yeah. for a month.
Hey, it's never forever, but that's fine. I haven't. Where at? Do you know?
I can tell you.
It's probably not like. That's probably why I've. Probably an area I haven't driven by or something. I feel like I've been all over this damn town for the last couple of weeks, but I have not caught us.
Do, do, do. They actually went up a little early.
Yeah.
We are at 7th and Willard, 2102 West 7th Street.
Okay.
At Willard. Right there.
Oh, they proof. Okay.
Oh, yeah, proof of performance. Our other one is at, I guess, WS West South.
I usually would say that the other way, southwest, but you know.
Well, it's got a W and a slash and an S.
Okay. I don't know.
1020 South Main.
Okay.
So 10th and Main.
Man, I just didn't make it that far down Maine yesterday. I was on Maine, but I didn't go down there. 10th and Maine. Okay. I know about where it is.
Probably that way. It's probably over on this side.
Is it possibly that's the way it's facing? West or south? That doesn't make sense either. It's got to face one or the other.
I don't know what the WS is. I like that one. Because you can see.
They both of them have some right up here. I noticed.
Oh. Joshua, if you're watching the live stream, you spelled sickness wrong. All right. Did I already? I think I did. Download. Yep. And it's Royal Caribbean. Sabrina Carpenter. Put Millie Bobby. Miley Bobby.
Millie
Millie.
Bobby Brown.
Yep. And fuzzy pink handcuffs.
Oh.
And World Series tickets.
Okay.
$1,200. That'll get you into the
Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever get to see one of those. I just want to go to a playoff game.
Huh?
I just want to go to a playoff game. World Series may be out of the question if my team gets there, but playoff game would be fun.
Now, since we carry the Cardinals on our 1230, usually
You get an option.
we get an option to purchase, and then I remember they went around here, and you get to buy them at face value.
They did that one time.
and you do a drawing
I couldn't in years past, but
because Kraus
next time
he had he got tickets, but it was for I forgot what game, and they didn't
make it that far.
They didn't make it that far.
Yeah, that's the worst. If you get a game 7,
He could have went, but
the Springer documentary was that in there? And not headline? I assume that was what you were reading.
not in here. No.
That's something that may be worth a mention. I heard about that. What a phenomenon that was, huh?
Yeah.
Something that'll never be due because the shock value is all gone. But at the time, it was just the shock value was all there, and then it was like, somebody's going to get in a fight.
Liam Neeson, who is now 72 years old, said it's time to retire from the action movies after next year.
Well, good for him.
When I'm 73, I'll be done.
Hey, Liam looks pretty good for his age.
He recently just finished, I didn't know that. He just recently finished the remake of The Naked Gun with Pamela Anderson. So he must play
like
Frank,
the Leslie Nielsen character?
Frank Drebin. Mm-hmm. I'll probably watch that because I used to laugh at those stupid things.
To me, it feels like everything from that era is being remade, and I'm guessing for your generation of people.
Some of them, yes. I don't know how to take that.
It's
your generation of people.
You're the ones that would have the connection to those things.
Your people.
Your people. Your age group. Like the Beverly Hills Cop thing. Did you ever watch that?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't.
It's pretty good.
I've heard it is, actually.
Is it outstanding?
Nope.
No.
Yep.
Is it a good spot where it was on a Netflix thing or whatever? I can't even remember what it was on now.
It is Netflix, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's perfect for that.
Top Gun. Beverly Hills Cop.
Now, Top Gun, on the other hand, that was good enough to be in the theater.
It was good.
This Beverly Hills Cop one, it could have been in the theaters, but it's good where it was.
Beetlejuice. There's just so many that feel like that era that it's just like, let's remake this. They love this. And it has a
And then they'll
It
take
has a
their kid,
nostalgia factor
and
to
they'll
it.
take their kids,
Uh-huh.
and maybe their kids will get into it,
Mm-hmm.
and we can keep this going.
That's kind of what it feels like.
Nicole Kidman got burnt out from all the orgasms she had to fake in her new movie.
Huh.
Nicole Kidman filmed so much simulated sex in her new movie Baby Girl, she got burnt out. She said, quote, "There were times when we were shooting where I was like, I just don't want to orgasm anymore."
Oh, that's fun.
She actually had to take a break from
Go
the
orgasm
action.
break.
She said, there were times where we were shooting where I was like, I don't want to orgasm anymore. Don't come near me.
Yeah.
I hate doing this. I don't care if I ever get touched again in my life. Well, I guess that kind of sucks for
Her husband.
her
What's
husband.
Is it still the country guy?
Yeah.
Is it still Keith Urban? I never know. Out of the sports world, Shohei Ohtani's 50-50 ball, the 50th homer ball.
Yeah.
Did you see what it sold for?
Yeah.
My God.
Yep. Passenger fell overboard on a Taylor Swift themed cruise.
Mm-hmm. Wasted.
66-year-old woman fell overboard 17 miles north of Nassau in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Man, she was never located.
Oh.
They couldn't find her.
Oh, God.
Apparently, they looked for like 3 hours. They had planes, helicopters, boats, infrared goggles, and everything. And another cruise ship came up next side them, turned all their lights on, and they didn't find her.
It's terrifying.
It's not known for sure, but she either fell or jumped. Yeah. Most people go, basically, you have to jump, or you have to be doing something pretty stupid to fall overboard on those things.
Yeah, I've never been on one.
I've never been on, but that's what I keep hearing from everybody.
That's
Two minutes. punishments. I have not liked this year's Pella punishment change where we make the picks instead of a random. I feel like we've already done more punishments than ever before.
Well, I don't know about ever before because last year I had a really tough year. And
I was talking about myself.
And we have done a lot, though. But we are on a 2-game winning streak.
2 games.
And I think now that
maybe we're just getting our footing.
I
Maybe
think
we're
we
just-
also understand who's better and who's not. No, I think there's a whole lot of just kind
Middle of the road. Yeah,
in the NFL this year.
I would agree.
And so that's going to make it more difficult, but I think we're okay. As long as we just make 2 or 3 game win streaks, then you can pick the good teams. Then you'll have to lose again. Go back to start.
Because eventually, how many can we get in a row? Again, if we do lose, we have to pick out of the Pella punishment. There's punishments in the Pale. We'll have to perform those the very next week.
And
the week of.
Since we're on a win streak, I'll remind everyone we can't use the same teams we've used in previous weeks.
Right.
So Chris cannot use Atlanta or Buffalo. I cannot pick Houston or Buffalo. We both went with the Bills last week.
Yes.
All right. Are you ready to make your selection?
Yeah,
I've
go
got
ahead.
mine. Okay. I'm going to take Detroit. Detroit is playing Tennessee. They are at home in Michigan. I'm going with Detroit. And Detroit's looked awesome. Detroit has looked like probably the best team in the NFL, it seems.
Well, I would love to say we are going to pick different teams this week.
Oh, we're not?
We're not. I'm
okay.
going to pick Detroit.
Oh, okay.
That's the one I had on my list early
That's
on.
fair.
They're playing Tennessee. Tennessee's looked awful.
Yeah.
Um,
Tennessee's getting rid of people now. They're sending them to the Chiefs.
Detroit has looked great.
Yeah.
And I just can't. I have a hard time seeing Detroit lose that game. And I want to try to get to 3 wins.
Yeah.
And I think that is my best opportunity.
I think so, too. Others I considered Baltimore, Kansas City, all up there, big odds as well. But I don't know, man. Chiefs make me nervous, and I don't want to pick their first losing game, you know what I mean?
Yep.
In Vegas, that'd be the one, too. They'd go lose to the Raiders. So, sticking with Detroit. I think that's a pretty easy
So we
pick
are
this
both,
week.
once again, picking the same team. So if we do lose, we will be, again, doing a
both.
punishment
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, both doing the punishment.
We'll get that posted. You can kind of play along, see how many punishments and what the punishments would be. And if you would like to film yourself doing the punishments, feel free to. And share them with us. If Detroit loses, that'll be crazy.
To Tennessee. Yeah. It'd be pretty wild. I won't rule it out.
No. Won't rule anything out anymore.
I don't. This thing, since it's updated, it doesn't like to change the title for me like I've asked it to do and stuff like that. There's some strange things on it.
Well, What's that?
Oh,
On what?
this Canva thing.
Oh, did it update?
Yeah, I told a few weeks ago. It's like, oh, it looks different. It's a little different. Mostly, it operates the same way, but there are some things like it just won't change the title on that now, or I've done that last week too.
So that's crazy to me. Like the game tonight,
Mm-hmm.
Vikings and Rams, only two and a half points.
Yeah, I know. Rams have won a game, I think, right?
Why? I have a hard time seeing that.
They love the Rams. I don't know.
I feel like
Or that
Vikings minus 2.5 at it's minus 122 are the odds. So I just feel like that's.
I do not know.
I decided like the AP and all those people, they just hate Mizzou.
Oh, they don't. Well, honestly, they just haven't looked very good.
Yeah, but even when they win, they go down.
Yeah.
Not too many teams do that. And also,
I didn't get to see last week. I was told that they probably should have lost. I guess they scored 2 late touchdowns to win.
They could have easily lost.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but we kept track of it on the course.
Mm-hmm. They don't care about it. It doesn't move the needle to them. They just, even when they have been good,
but they won that game still, and they went 19-21.
Yeah.
When they lost the one to Texas A&M, they went from like 12th or 13th, all the way to like 17th or 19th.
Yeah.
But Alabama loses to Vanderbilt at the time, who wasn't ranked.
Yeah.
Texas A&M was. They fell 5 spots.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm like,
they love Alabama.
Now Alabama's all the way to 15 now.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I was
we could
talking
beat
to Mason
Alabama
about it. I go, we have to win out. I think now. Granted,
we have to.
This is the AP. The bowl people might look at this differently when you start looking at records and how people have played and all this other stuff.
And
but
I will say,
I think Mizzou with 2 losses though doesn't make top 12.
There's no way.
There's going to be too many teams ahead of them.
No way it's happening. And and honestly, part of them sliding too is some are just playing really well, so they're working their way up. Indiana's, the BYU's, the A&M, who has a win, that have leapfrogged them, and then just keeps kind of pushing them down a little bit. Yeah. But if you're 1 loss, now 2 loss Alabama, they still value that more than a 1 loss Missouri. They just are going to.
Yeah. Mizzou needs to beat Alabama.
They have to. I mean, I don't think they will, but they have to in order to stay in the running.
It's right now. Nobody thinks it's going to happen.
No, it's like 14 points, isn't it?
16 and a half.
16 and a half. Yeah, there you go. They don't even think it's going to be close.
Plus 490 if Mizzou wins. It's if you did the 6.5 points, Mizzou plus 16.5, so they keep it within 16.5, it's minus 108. But you get 16.5 points.
Maybe worth a flyer just on that. Because Alabama hasn't just like freight trained anybody.
No, there's a reason why they have 2 losses.
Yeah. Those were close games too, but from a betting perspective, you just need Missouri to lose by 2 touchdowns or less. if that's what you're going to do. Now that it's a big plus number if you really believe they can win this game. I'm not saying they can't win it. I don't believe it's out of the realm of possibility. What will these people think if there's a 3-loss Alabama that's lost to Vanderbilt and Missouri? Oh, I know they're out.
Be out at that point.
I know they're out, but then your Alabama win doesn't look as good anymore.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah. Well, they're not any good, so
they're not any good. So, and to be honest with you, I could see Mizzou if they beat them, even if they, no matter how they beat them. Oh, well, you might get up to like 18. I just don't feel like it will matter.
Well,
now, I think it will matter. Now, if they only have one loss, then they make the top 12.
Look, there's some teams.
But they're going to have probably 2 losses. And what I mean by that, because don't they still play the national champion? Don't they play a SEC championship game? The top 2 teams?
Yes.
Even if they make that, they will probably lose.
Probably.
Because it's either going to be Georgia or Texas.
Yeah.
I think they could beat potentially Georgia, but Texas, I don't know. Even though they've lost 2. Georgia just beat Oregon.
Georgia just beat Texas, wasn't it?
Oh, it's Texas.
Yeah.
Oregon's the one that just beat. Well, who did Oregon just beat?
I don't remember. They're undefeated. They're number 1.
Yeah. They beat somebody big. I thought it was Georgia.
Nah. Ohio State, maybe? Yeah. That was a couple weeks ago. Oregon beat Ohio State. That was a big one.
Am I getting them all?
Penn State's undefeated. Miami hasn't done what they typically do, which is fall apart after they win.
It was Ohio State. It was last week.
It was 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago. I know I bet on that one. I didn't make any bets last week because I didn't have time. But here's what's going to start happening.
And the thing is with Oregon, they've got some tough teams, but they've got Illinois.
Yeah, which Illinois is a good team.
This week. Yeah, they're top 20. But then they play Michigan, Maryland, Wisconsin, and Washington.
Oh, they're probably okay. They'll probably win out. I think Illinois might be their toughest game then.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan's okay. They're not great.
But they're out of
Wisconsin's
the top 25
kind of
even.
Down compared to what they used to be.
Mm-hmm. But Oregon could go undefeated.
Yeah. Now, like LSU, A&M play each other this weekend. So somebody's about to get a second loss.
Yes.
And they're both ahead of Missouri.
Yep.
If Indiana drops a game, I'd say they immediately tank. As soon as they lose, they will jump off that. Because Indiana's a lot like Missouri. It's like, oh, all right, it's a good story. Oh, you lost? You're done.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah, get out of here. That's exactly the way they feel about them. Unless it's basketball, then that's different.
That's, yes. Let's see. Who does Indiana have?
But I think
they have Washington this week. Then they have Michigan State, Michigan. Then they have Ohio State and Purdue. Indiana is going to lose at least one more game.
Oh, yes. They're going to lose ball game. There's no way they make it through unbeaten.
All right, how many games have they lost?
None. They're 7-0.
Oh, and they'd only be a one-loss team. And if they only lose to Ohio State.
Possible.
Because if they beat Washington, they beat Michigan State, and they beat Michigan, they're going to be ranked inside the top 10 at that point. And then if you can stay with Ohio State, you're not going to drop back that far.
I think the 2-loss team might make it. Because there's going to be enough in these big conferences.
I don't think there will be out of the SEC. That's what I mean. I think when I looking at the SEC, say we lose to Alabama. And we went out, and we've got 2 losses. And it's basically to Texas A&M and Alabama. think there's still going to be enough of the other 2-loss teams that will keep them out.
But I think 2-loss teams. I think there might be a few 2-loss teams or a one that get into the top 12.
Yes, because actually, typically in the top 12, there has always been
Some 2 losses.
that
If your 2 losses
number
is
8, number 8 through 12.
Yeah.
A lot of times there has been some 2-loss teams,
especially if your 2 losses are to a pretty good ranked team and then one of the top 5, or 10 or whatever. And because there's basically 2 conferences in the world now.
Yeah.
Big 12 is trying to hang on. And they've got some teams that are good. And honestly, probably as a Missouri fan, I'm rooting for them. I just am. I don't think it's a good thing to condense it down to
Well, and now they're talking about where it's the SEC and the Big Ten now will play each other, and that's the only. Basically, we're going to play our league, and we'll play 1 or 2 games over there, and that's our schedule. We don't play,
which is terrible for college football.
And I'm like,
I hate that. Which will just have to. That'll make those other ones defunct again.
Who was that? I forgot what coach was talking about it. He was saying we need somebody like a Nick Saban.
Oh, it was Mike Gundy from Oklahoma State,
okay.
A Big 12 school.
Yeah, and he goes, we need somebody like that understands the game and has all that stuff, and also has the respect and all that needs to be like a commissioner that comes in and says, hey. And to be honest with you, what we also need to do is this whole, just like we do with swimming and like we do with some of those sports and soccer and wrestling and some of that stuff, football is in, maybe you have SEC, we're in football. But our Big 10 or 12 or 50 or whatever it is now.
The Big 50. It's pretty much.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Where Oregon and UCLA and some of those teams out there that are now, where they're not, yes, for football, you are.
Fine, but the volleyball team doesn't travel.
But the rest of it is still in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Now, what they'll argue, we can't make a living that way.
Yeah.
Because we have, now, unless you were able to work it where that money then was funneled into the rest because you are making so much money.
I think you'd have to do that way. You couldn't. That money has to be able to be spread out amongst the schools, but the conferences may say, no, that's not our conference. You don't get to use it.
Where each sport, in a sense, or football is its own entity.
Mm-hmm.
All the other stuff is kind of packed into.
Yeah. And it's like this with some of these things.
Or
Missouri is.
Or it's the SEC or the Big 12, and then you come in and say, look, I'm sorry, but you can only have 14 schools in this per conference. There's like a rule.
So they'd have to break up. Actually, most of the conferences would already have to break. Because it's the ones that are left, even the big.
This happened. This had to happen at some point. And that time is now.
Okay.
We need to take a deep breath and look at the Jerry Springer Show and its impact on our culture.
Oh, there is to a degree. It did have an impact on our culture.
A huge impact.
Yeah.
Netflix has made a 2-part documentary. It's called Jerry Springer Fights, Camera, Action.
Okay.
It's going to drop on January 7th. It will explore how Jerry's show became one of the biggest and most outrageous TV hits of the 1990s. But there's more to it. The official kind of breakdown, quote, behind the entertaining facade lay some darker truths.
Okay. All right.
As we hear from apparently producers and ex-guests, the Mercury, yeah, that word, picture begins to emerge of the destruction that it caused, raising renewed questions about how it was responsible and how far things should go for entertainment.
Well, we let him go a long way for Jerry Springer.
Yeah. Well, and they even set it up. We want you to do this.
Oh, yeah, sure.
We want you to act like this.
Pretty obvious,
and then it got them riled up, and then they went out there and acted like it, and then afterwards they were like, hold on a second, that's not really what I wanted to say or how I felt.
Yeah.
I just did that for the show because they egged me on.
Yeah. Well, there was that, and then after it got so big and famous like that, then I'm sure there were plenty of guests that are like, well, I'm going to top that. I'm going to go on there and be nuts.
Right.
For the purpose of TV. I just remember, you had to be there, I guess.
It would have been nice to have Jerry around maybe to defend himself and to talk about
Jerry.
it and be a part of it, but he did pass away last year due to cancer.
I looked that up just real quick, just remembering. I thought he had, but I couldn't remember. It was such a wild phenomenon at the time, though. But, I mean, it was kind of appointment viewing, Oh,
a lot of people. I knew people that they had to watch this. It was like, I got to watch Jerry Springer at this time. Daytime TV that was must watch.
I remember them airing it like after the news and stuff too, though, late and
stuff.
It was kind of one of those things.
It got into syndication.
Yes,
and then they started airing it later in the.
Started airing it late, so a young Bobby and his friends, because it was taboo.
Yeah,
and it was so out there, we would stay up and watch that.
You're like, what?
Yeah, it was wild, 12-year-old me watching Jerry Springer. What are they going to do next?
Yeah.
It was such a big deal. I think Jerry, which funny, went on to have a political career and everything.
He was in politics before that.
It was the mayor of Cincinnati at some point, yeah.
He was the mayor.
Was that before he did the show? Okay.
He was the mayor in Cincinnati and then went on to be.
Yeah, and then went on to be
Jerry Springer.
Yeah, it's just wild.
So,
but anyway, yeah. I'm interested to see this. I will definitely watch it.
I bet it'll be big. Jerry Springer fights, camera action. I like the way they put fights first.
Yes.
Out of all of it, not, camera action fights.
Yeah.
It drops on January 7th. Here's Rich Glitter.
This is not headline news. A Royal Caribbean worker filmed passengers using the restroom. But the most repellent thing on a Royal Caribbean cruise are the people who begin eating while still carrying their plate from the buffet. Sabrina Carpenter put Millie Bobby Brown in fuzzy pink handcuffs during her Atlanta concert. Oh, of all the times for Diddy to be locked up. And the cheapest World Series tickets for tomorrow night's game at Dodger Stadium start at $1,200. Even crazier, a Dodger dog and a beer starts at $1,300. This is not headline news.
I just think that would be more.
I don't disagree with that.
Or at least in football, where you did do we play through this side of the conference and we play almost like what the NFL does.
Where you have to, you rotate it around and
you either rotate through them every year and it's random, where you play two of those teams, one away, one at home. and then you work through it, and then you go backwards the other way. And then that way give you a couple of other games that you could play outside of. That way you could, the Appalachia states could make some money. Or as the one that I always pick out now is Arkansas State.
Yeah, they do it.
Go look at Arkansas State's schedule before they play their real schedule.
They go make.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
They play. It's literally like, who wants to play us? We will play.
Yep.
And they go play some monster games
Mm-hmm.
every year. And it's usually several.
Yeah.
And they lose.
Well, yeah.
But in some ways, if that doesn't hurt your record to get into whatever tournament or whatever it is that they're championship, if it doesn't hurt them, they're going to be better for it.
Yeah.
Because now, lined up against the guy from Alabama or whoever, or Michigan or
Yeah.
Ohio State, in that other conference, now you're lined up against them, you're like,
Yeah.
Hope you have a great day, Anna. We got on a soapbox on college sports on one of our rants. How money is ruining college sports.
It's just
Because that's all it is.
the funny thing is money in sports, man. That's usually it right there. It's money in sports in general.
And I think then you would have 6 power conferences.
I know, but they just
And your TV deals would be huge.
most of these schools would rather, evidently not, because I mean we
Well.
come from that and it fell apart. You would think so. I think it was just kind of, there was a lot of success in a couple of places, and it was like, can't beat them, join them, and we'll make more money doing so. We'll make such a big thing that
Well, it's Nebraska and Mizzou, for instance. Here's what happened, actually, like with that one. If
Texas, I know what the
I think a
deal
lot
is.
of it started, if Texas wouldn't have been Texas.
Yep.
And it's like, we want all the money.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have our own network, and we want all our money. Screw you guys.
Mm-hmm.
If they wouldn't have done that, and they would have done what the SEC and the Big Ten do,
Things
and
probably
they
would have
said
fallen apart.
everything is equal,
Mm-hmm.
guess what? I don't think that doesn't break up.
I don't think so.
Nebraska and Mizzou don't leave.
And for the better, right? Because the Big 12 at that time was a power.
It was a power.
Nebraska, Oklahoma, Missouri had a year or two. Texas had
Well,
several
it's
good
not
years.
just football. You had the basketball, and you had, if that conference would have stayed together and that conference could have got a big payday.
Yeah.
For if it would have been equally shared.
Yep.
And it would have been a bigger powerhouse.
Yeah. Yep. And
But Texas was greedy,
yep.
broke it up,
Yep.
and then ended up having to abandon what they did anyway and jump ship.
And jump ship. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I really feel bad for are those schools that stuck it out that whole time with them, and then they ended up bailing anyway.
Texas screwed them.
Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Baylor's of the world. It's so bizarre now. I hear every once in a while, and then the Pac-12 just falling apart, which a lot of that was because they just didn't have much success, and they were. I know they're always on later, and you just couldn't reach the whole country. So the only way, how do we do that? I guess is we just go play over there all the time and play it.
They didn't have them. They didn't have the same money coming in.
But they also didn't have very much success. USC had stopped being good, and Oregon was still pretty good for most of
And
that.
Washington had some good.
But it doesn't have the same pool as if USC's good.
Well, and it's because only a quarter of the country cared about you.
Yeah.
Only that side of the West Coast cared about it.
Yeah.
East Coast definitely didn't.
Yeah.
The East Coast could at least care about the middle of the country. Midwest cared you cared more about that.
Yep.
But you started going a little bit that way because you could at least watch them, and it wasn't terribly. But East Coast was gone. By the time they got a game at 9:30 or 10 o'clock, it's 11 o'clock. It's almost midnight by the time a game started.
They're kicking off at least at 9, 9 or 10 o'clock our time. It's like,
Well, and that's what I mean. It's 10 or 11 East Coast time.
yeah.
So
I've never watched
at
that.
those point, nobody on the East Coast.
But
watched
now, because of all this crap,
it. I heard they were coming.
there are teams on the West Coast playing conference games on the East Coast, ironically enough, in the Atlantic Coast Conference. I think Stanford's in the ACC.
Yeah. Because they had to go somewhere.
I'd go somewhere.
It just doesn't make sense.
Stupid.
Hope you have a good day, Anna. Yeah, Bush, that'll be a good one. If you've never seen them, definitely go watch them. They are